Well, hello. My name is Sir Calvin. Welcome to GMAT Thursdays. Just kidding. It's Tuesday, and I'm Kevin. Today we are working on how to prepare for the verbal section of the GMAT. So I want to just take a moment to think at a very high level. What are the things that you can do right now to start preparing for the verbal section of the GMAT? So, first and foremost, you need to know the structure of the verbal section. So you should know that there are 41 questions. You should know that there's 75 minutes that you have to answer those 41 questions. You should know that it's computer adaptive. You should know that you don't get to go back to questions that you answer. You should know that the level adapts based on your answers to questions. You should also know the different question types that are in there: critical reasoning, reading comprehension, and sentence correction. You should know about how many of those you're going to see on the test. So really bathe yourself in all of the format and structure of the GMAT verbal section. This is an excellent thing to do, and one of the first things that you really should do to prepare for the test. Next thing that you should focus on is reading. Read. Read as much as you can. You should immerse yourselves in words. I think Chris Laley says imbibe words as much as possible. And this is excellent advice. You can't read enough. You really should dedicate a certain amount of time each day. I would recommend reading 40 to 50 pages, like in a book each day. Reading a couple articles each day, at least an hour, maybe 2 hours, to really prepare for the GMAT verbal section. The key is to be comfortable reading different things. And so on the test, you're going to have to read a lot, even in the math section. And so the more practice that you have reading, the more comfortable you are interpreting what an author is saying, putting it into your own words. And that's going to be very important for preparing for questions and preparing for possible answers. So this brings me to another important, point. Think in your own words. So when you're reading something, you want to digest it and put it into your own words. So this might mean telling someone, like a friend or a family member, about the article or book that you're reading. Putting it into your own words means that you're synthesizing the information in there, and then if you can speak about it in your own words, not just like repeating what's being said, then that's a good sign that you're understanding what you're reading. If you find it really hard to do this, or you can't do it in a short amount of space or time, then that's a sign also that you're struggling. So just keep on reading. And I should say too, things that you should read, you should be reading everything. Read books, fiction, nonfiction, read magazines, read newspapers. Just make sure you're reading stuff that's of a higher quality. It should, like newspapers and magazines, should have sort of a big distribution. They should be sold across the country or across the world. We really like The Economist, New York Times, The New Yorker, Atlantic Monthly, Arts and Letters Daily, The New Republic. These are all great resources to read. And then also read what you want to read as well. Make sure that you enjoy what you're reading, because if you're going to have to do it a lot, it's important that you're enjoying it and you're reading stuff that interests you. The GMAT is full of stuff that's not going to interest you, so if you're starting out now, just read stuff that does interest you so you stay engaged. Next, moving forward, specifically about the test. So focus on one area at a time. So if you're starting out, I would recommend choosing a question type. So let's say like critical reasoning, and focus on critical reasoning for a designated amount of time. And even further, focus specifically on strengthening and weakening questions within critical reasoning. Focus on those types of questions for a week. Try to learn them the best you can. Learn about the common wrong answer types. Spend time going over your wrong answers, answering as many questions as you can in that time, so you become sort of an expert in that specific field or specific area, and then move on to another question type. And then that way, you can really focus in on an area, learn everything that you need to know about that area, and then move on. And when you do move on, make sure you do go back and review as well. Which brings me to my next point, review! How wonderfully timed. So make sure that you are reviewing concepts. Don't just move on from one concept to the next. It's really important that you do spend time reviewing throughout your studying. So that means reviewing concepts, reviewing question types, but also going back and answering the same questions again. Just because you can answer a question correctly once doesn't mean you're necessarily good at that question. You want to be able to articulate or speak about why the right answer is the right answer and why all of the wrong answers are wrong answers. The more that you can do that with the questions that you work on, the better prepared you are for the GMAT. Okay, I think that's it. I think you might be ready to go out there and start preparing. If you have any questions about how to get ready for the verbal section, I'd be happy to answer them. Feel free to leave comments down below. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to me talk about the GMAT. So if you need anything, do ask. All right, I'll be back next Tuesday. Be excellent to the universe.